Welcome back to video or vlog number 2 of the series. We have the engine compartment, the wheels, wheel wells finished. We have the wheels coated. They're curing, they're covered. It's time to turn our attention to the body. I put an ounce of Purple Power vehicle and boat in a gallon on the IK Foam 9 foamer. That's going to be for traffic film. I have 3/4 of an ounce of American Detailer Garage Wipeout. That is a rinseless wash. And we're also going to add a 1/2 ounce of Power Clean there as well, just to give it a bit of a kick. It'll be a rinseless wash with Turbo Boost. That will complete the rinseless wash bucket with the big red sponge. We also have a rinse bucket with a grit guard on the bottom as well. They're both clear. You can grab those at any food storage or restaurant supply chain. If I remember correctly, they were 18 bucks a piece. They come with the lid. So we're going to start with the vehicle and boat Purple Power. And this will be our traffic film remover. I'll also get it up into the cracks and the seams where the panels come together. And the bottom of the car, mostly from the door handles down, or the front of the mirrors, the pillars, the front of the car where we could have some bug splatter. And then we'll follow up while that is working on those areas with the ADG Wipeout. And that will be a pre-treat before we come in contact with the car with the big red sponge. We have plenty of lubrication down there. Okay, time to grab the big red sponge and let it do its job. Alright, working from top to bottom, when I get down to the door handles down, if there's been a lot of grit, I'm going to grab the bottle with American Detailer Garage in it again, and I'm going to use a microfiber and do the roll method, pick up as much grit as I can before I get the big red sponge down there. And then it's time to pick up where we left off with the big red sponge. And you can see the rinse water isn't even really that dirty. We did a pre-treat. We took most of the grit off with the rinseless wash and the microfiber towels. And we're just getting the rest of the dirt, whatever may be left over, and some of the traffic film off of the surface. Then we can move on. If the surface of the car is really soiled, I'll come back after every panel and do a rinse and then back into the wash bucket, picking up some more product and more lubrication for each panel. Trying to cut down, even though I'm doing a correction here, I still want to cut down on any type of micro marring. And simply follow up and mop up and dry it. The towels, the sponges, whatever I have, I am constantly flipping them, folding them. I have them folded into 4s, so you have 8 different little sections that you can flip around to. Do that each panel, or even twice each panel. That again will help to cut down on marring. Alright, even though it looks decent, looks clean, we're not done yet. Now we're going to work on whatever layers of wax or sealant may be left behind from the owner or maybe a previous detailer. And before we go any further with the decontamination, we want to remove that. That could be covering ferrous metals. We definitely want to remove it if we're going to do a paint correction so that stuff doesn't get caught up into our pads. And cause the correction to be slowed down a bit because you have to remove that first. So yeah, I'm going to go around with an IP solution. That's going to be at 25%. You can use panel prep, body solvent, whatever you want. And since there were signs of a previous detailer or maybe even the owner tried a wax or a sealant, there was some crusted around the emblems and in the corners and the seams of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those before I tape up these emblems before correction. As I mentioned at the beginning of the series, I do things in a little bit different order, a little bit differently than some detailers. After doing so many of these, I've come down to a routine that works best for me. It may be a little bit different than what you're doing. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong at all. So now I'm going to follow up with the clay bar. Now, a lot would go to the iron remover or ferrous metal remover, but there's actually some bonded materials that could be on top of where the ferrous metals have embedded themselves into the clear. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them first so the iron remover can get to them. And I hope that makes sense. You'll see I'm feeling for any kind of bonded material on the surface. I'm only going to do some spot claying. I'm not going to clay where it's not necessary. That just adds more polishing to my work. Those of you that are just starting out and haven't used a clay bar or an auto scrub system, they are abrasives. They are all abrasive. You will have to follow up with some sort of polish. And now here we will follow up with the iron or ferrous metal remover. We all know how that's done. If not, spray on the areas where it's most commonly known that ferrous metals will attach themselves, embed themselves into the clear, work in, and then start to rust. So I'll follow up with a wash mitt with a surfactant and then follow that up with a rinseless wash, which will add lubrication and start to rinse and break down the iron remover so then I can remove it. I do have a dedicated video on how the iron removers work, changing the shape of the ferrous metal so it can dislodge from the clear coat. And anything that will dislodge now that the transformation has begun, the chemical reaction has begun, I will pick up with the auto scrub system here. Okay, we have the surface perfectly clean, no bonded contaminants, no ferrous metals, no old waxes or sealants. It's time for me to go around, get some measurements. This is pretty much what I would expect for this type of car. Its shape, its year, in between 5 and 6.5 mils is normal. That's what I'm getting. But I'm still going to go around. You never know if there's any surprises. The car could have been hit. It may have filler there for one reason or another. I want to make sure I know where that would be. I'm also making and recording measurements to ensure that I don't remove a lot of clear coat. I want to do this correction without removing no more than 0.2 of a mil. I'm going to start out with the least aggressive method necessary, and hopefully that takes care of it. The car, again, is just starting out. It is getting a ceramic coating, but we want to give it the best chance that we can give it and leave a ton of clear coat behind. I follow those readings up with readings of gloss units around the car. This is not only just for me and some things I like to record, but this helps put numbers behind what the customer and I see when he comes to pick it up. I've already gone around the car when it was brought in and taken some of these readings for him, and I gave him a copy of the sheet, so we'll compare when he comes to pick it up and we'll see a huge difference that has numbers to back it up. Okay, correction time is near, so let's take a look at what we're going after. Micro marring, love marks. That's pretty much what we have to worry about. There's no deep scratches, maybe 1 or 2 chips to work on. That's going to be quick work, but most of the correction will be taken care of some micro marring on the top and then some deeper love marks underneath that. Before the correction starts, before you lay pad to the surface, it's save your butt time. And what I mean by that, use masking tape as much as you need to protect any type of seal or rubber grommet or any type of trim you want to protect. You bump up the pad against it, you can do damage. And it's a lot less expensive to go get some rolls of masking tape than it would be to replace the trim or the seal. It also keeps a little bit of dust from the compound from getting in some of these cracks and crevices. You don't have to be completely perfect here, just cover and protect. We're not doing any type of painting. And that quickly we're done. We have everything that I don't want to bump up against with a pad or a polisher protected, and we can move on. Okay, it's time to find a test spot. We're going to try and find the best combination with the least aggressive method to correct this paint. So we'll pick the door here, and I'm going to start out with a Lake Country hybrid pad and the Sonax Cut and Finish. We can bump it up to Cut Max if we need to in a different polisher and pad. But for now, that's going to be the end of this segment or this portion of the series. We'll catch you in the next one where we start the little test area and we start the paint correction itself. Thanks for dropping by, guys. Brian from Apex Detail. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Catch you in the next video.